So yes, a very good morning everyone and welcome to all of you who are attending this particular session. So before starting with the session, I need a quick reply from everyone. If I'm loud and clear and audible and visible, please put a yes in the chat. And I would assume there would be a small delay in this particular video. So if I'm loud and clear, please put a yes in the chat. So yes. So now before beginning with the session, let me just quickly introduce myself because I hope many of you are seeing a very new face. So my name is Sharath. I am a technical trainer from TAP Academy. So now I would assume everyone know the purpose that you are over here, and to speak about it, today we are going to have the second day of your Infosys Interview Cracker workshop. So in the previous session, I would assume Rohit sir has already solved some set of problems which were from easy to medium level of problems that were frequently asked in the Infosys interview. So what is that we are going to do today, if you ask me? We are going to solve some more coding questions which have been very frequently asked, and we will just increase the level of difficulty from medium to hard now. Yes, so if everyone is ready, you can just put a yes in the chat so that we can quickly go and start with the session. And before that, I would assume that yesterday all of you who have filled the form has already got access to our Thai portal. If not, need not worry, we will make sure that you get the access by today, right before this session is completed, so that you can start and enter the world of Thai portal and start practicing the problems. So if everyone is ready, please put a yes in the chat. And before that, I assume there are many of you who are new to this particular session. If so, and this is the first time you are encountering TAP Academy, I would all warmly welcome you to the TAP Academy's YouTube family. So a warm welcome to you people. At the same time, and I can see a lot of engagement in the chat, that is lots of yes. So I guess we can quickly start with the session then. So to start with the session, let us just see what is the first problem that we have here today. So as discussed yesterday in the Infosys, there are multiple types of things. So the first round consists of quantitative aptitude questions. Along with that, there will also be coding questions. Now coding is such a thing which is also important for you when you go to a technical face-to-face round, where they evaluate your problem solving ability, your logical thinking ability, and many more. So now to start with the first question, this is the question that we have over here. So yes, you have been given an array of n integers. You are supposed to write a program to print all the pairs present in the array. Now the question states that you have been given an array of integers, and I would assume the last problem that you have solved yesterday was something on arrays wherein you had to find the largest and the smallest element present in the array. Yes, so let us see what is the input. The input will be as follows. You have been given 5 and then there are few numbers. Now the question is, what is this 5? This 5 is the size of the array, and this 3, 2, 5, 7, 1 are the elements which are present within the array. Now what is that we are going to do is, we have to print all the pairs which are present within the array. So how to do that? So the output will be as follows. So the pairs are nothing but what? 3, 2 is a pair, 3, 5 is a pair, 3, 7 is a pair, 3, 1 is a pair. Similarly, 2, 5 is a pair, 2, 7 is a pair, 2, 1 is a pair. So there are multiple pairs like this which are possible from this array, and all the pairs have been noted down over here. Yes. So I hope everyone understood the question. So now let us see how we can arrive at the logic, or how to solve this particular problem. Yes. To solve this, first and foremost, let me just consider the array over here, and this is the array, and these are all the elements which are present within the array. Now we know that we have to print all the pairs which are present in this array. Yes. So if that is the scenario, we know that 3, 2 is a pair, 3, 5 is a pair, 3, 7 is a pair, 3, 1 is a pair. So these are all the different pairs which is possible with 3. Similarly, 2, 5, 2, 7, 2, 1, 5, 7, 5, 1, 7, 1. So these are all the pairs we are expecting as the output. Now, if we have to start by noting down or writing the logic behind that, first let us just break this problem down and see how we can arrive at the solution. For that, I will follow one simple approach. What is the approach, if you ask me? I will start by picking the first pair, that is 3, 2. So this is the first pair that we have. So all I'll do is, let me just take these two values. I'll be taking 2 pointers for this, which we'll discuss later. I'll take 3 and along with that 2. So this is the output I want. I'll just print it onto the screen. So I got 3 as well as 2. Now the next step I'm going to do is, keeping 3 as constant over here, I will just try to fetch all the different pairs which are possible with 3. Now if I have to speak about that, 3, 2 was the first pair, 3, 5 is one more, 3, 7 is one more, 3, 1 is one more. So these are the different pairs possible with 3. So let me just move this to the next index, take this 3 and 5 and I'll just print it over here. Now how is this happening? We'll discuss that later. First, let me take again 3. I have took 5. So I'll just move to the next index, take this 3 and 7, print it onto the screen. Similarly, 3 is over here. Yes. Again, I'll move on to the next index. 3 and 1 is the next pair. I'll just take it over here. So now if you carefully see, I have all the pairs which are possible with 3. Yes. So now it's time for us to decide how I can write a code like this which will give me all these pairs. For that, a very simple thing. If you carefully observe all these pairs, you can see the first number of the pair is always 3. Yes. So if the first number is always 3, this 3 I have over here, I can represent it as something. What is that? Very simple. Array. Yes. And it is present in which index? That is index number 0. So I will say AR of 0, that will give me this 3. Yes. So if I say AR of 0, I am getting this 3 over here. I hope this much is clear. Yes. Now if we move on to the second value which is present in the pair, so that is 2, 5, 7 and 1. How to get this as the output if you ask me? A very simple thing. If you carefully observe the array 2, 5, 7, 1. If I run one simple loop which starts from 2 and goes all the way till 1, will I get this as the expected output? And I hope everyone knows now what is loops, and I am extremely sorry for the fact that this is a workshop wherein we are doing the last minute preparation, because of which I cannot go in depth with loops, data types, variables and many more things. We will be learning how to approach and solve the problem. So I would assume that everyone knows how a loop works. So I will quickly start one loop which starts from index 1, goes all the way till index 4. And the variable I am going to use over here is j. So j is the indexing variable and this is the loop. So if I run that loop, I'll get this as the output. So if I have to write it in the form of code, very simple, a for loop which looks like this, where j is starting from, as we discussed, it's starting from 1. J is every time increasing by 1, that is 1, 2, 3, 4. And j is always less than ar.length. And what does this ar.length do? This ar.length will give you the length of the array. Over here, the length of the array, which is 5. So within this, what am I trying to print? I am printing AR of 0. This is AR of 0 I have. With that, I'll just put one small space. We can modify it according to our will. And finally, I'll say AR of j. What is this ARJ? It will print 2, 5, 7, 1. Now, if you see this particular loop, this is helping me to print all the pairs which is starting with 3. So now, if this is clear to everyone, can we proceed further? I know the code is not complete. There is still a lot of pending pairs left. But I hope this is the basic approach which we are going to follow. And I would assume it is clear to everyone. If so, please put a yes in the chat. So I understand there might be a slight delay, but still I am able to see a lot of yes in the chat. So yes, well and good. So now, this is the approach in which I can print all the pairs which has 3. So now, what is the next thing that we are going to do if you ask me? Now we'll start by printing the next set of pairs. Which are the next set of pairs that I have? So if in case I consider 2, starting with 2, can I form multiple pairs over here? Yes, it is possible. So all that I will be doing is, now I'll change that from 2 to 5. So I'll consider 2, along with that I'll consider 5. So the first pair over here, which is 2 and 5, let me just print it onto the screen. Yes, next. I'll keep this 2 over here. The first element of the pair will remain as it is, and the next element from 5 I'll move to the next index. So I'll take this 2, 7, print it over here. Similarly, move from this to next index, 2 and 1, I'll just print it onto the display. Now if you carefully observe, is there any other possible pair which I can print with the help of 2? No. So that means these are the only pairs possible with 2 as the initial value. Now if this is clear, you already know if I want to get this particular value 2, because as you can see this is constant over here, the value which is changing is the second value of the pair. How can I get this 2? Very simple. This 2 is nothing but AR of 1. So I'll just represent it as AR of 1. I hope this much is clear. Now again we'll repeat the same step. Now I got AR of 1 which is 2, but I have 5, 7, 1. Now when I have 5, 7, 1, how can I get it? A very simple loop. It starts from index 2, goes all the way till index 4. Run one small loop, use the same indexing variable j. Why am I using it? We'll get to know in some time. So I'll again write one simple loop. So this is the loop I have, and you can see the difference. J is now starting from 2. The condition, that is incrementation update statement, remains the same, that is j plus plus. J is less than AR dot length remains as it is. What is the change? In print statement, I am printing AR of 1 with a space and then AR of j. And this particular code which I have over here, the entire code is responsible for giving all the pairs which starts with 2. The same process, I am repeating it again. I hope this much is clear to everyone. Yes? Now, what is the next thing if you ask me? Am I done with printing all the pairs? No, I still have even more pairs to print. So what is that I'll do? I will consider the next set of pairs which starts with 5. So 5 and 7. If you consider 5 and 7 over here, let me just print it. With 5, is there any other pair possible? Yes, there is one more, that is 5 and 1. So I'll just move this to the next index, take this 1 and 5. So let me just print it over here. And as you can see, there is no other pair which is possible with 5 as the starting value. Now if this is the scenario, what is that I can do? I have to first represent this 5. How to represent it? AR of 2. So this 5 which you have over here is nothing but AR of 2. And this 7 and 1, the same approach. Run one simple loop which starts from 3 and goes till index 4, or the last index of the array. So if in case you run a loop which starts from index 3 and goes till the end of the array, this is how the loop looks, where j starts from 3, j is increasing by 1, j is less than AR dot length, and what is that you are printing is, you are printing AR of 2 with the space and AR of j. I assume this much is clear to everyone. Yes, so this is the code for me to print all of these pairs, but if we carefully observe, there is still one pair which is missing for us. And which is that? That is none other than the last pair which we have, that is 7, 1. So now let me consider 7, and along with that 1, I'll print it over here. Now my question is, friends, so if you have 7 as the first element of the pair, is there any other pair possible? No. So that means this is the last pair that we have. Now if I have to print this as the last pair, you know how to get 7. 7 is nothing but AR of 3. So that is what I'll write over here. And how to get this 1 if you ask me? Very simple. I'll run one loop which starts at 4 and ends at 4. Why? Because the array ends at index number 4. So I'll start one loop. I'll use the same thing. So here as you can see, j which starts from 4, j is less than AR dot length, j plus plus. What am I printing first? That is AR of 3. Then I'm printing AR of j. So this is the final loop that I have. Now if you carefully observe, you see the code over here, you see all the pairs over here. I hope it is clear that we have printed all the pairs which is possible with this particular array. Yes. Now, yes sir, you have shown us the code, well and good. But the problem is, if you carefully observe this particular code, there is one simple problem. The problem is, if the size of the array increases, should I increase the number of loops also? Yes. If the size of the array becomes 10, I again have to write multiple loops. If it becomes 100, I have to again write multiple number of loops. And we already know one thing, that whenever a set of operation is repeating again and again and again, we always can make use of something called as loop. Yes, I assume everyone knows this much. Yes. So now as you can see, there is one loop over here, one loop over here, here and here. There are a total of 4 loops over here. 4 loops which is doing the same job again and again. So can I say that if I take one of these loops and put it within another loop, will it do the same operation multiple number of times? Yes, it is possible. But for that to happen, we first have to devise that how can I take this loop and put it inside another loop. So now as discussed, we'll take one of these loops, put it inside another loop. If I have to put it inside another loop, it means that the external loop also has to have a variable. Now you can see this loop has a variable, that is indexing variable, that is j. Similarly, if there is an external loop, it should also have one indexing variable. And what is that if you ask me? I will make use of I over here. Is it clear? So this loop is making use of j, and the external loop which I am going to have will make use of I. Now what is I? Where does it start? Where does it end? That is the next topic of discussion. To understand that particular thing, I will make one simple table over here. I will consider I, along with that I will consider j. Now it's time for us to decide what are the values of I, what are the values of j. If we are able to devise this particular table, get an idea about it, it means that we can simply solve this particular problem. Is it clear to everyone? So now, what is the I value if that is the question? Very simple. When the I value is equal to 0, I will execute the first loop. So when I is equal to 0, I will execute this first loop over here. Yes, and if you carefully observe these 4 loops which I have over here, the loop is exactly the same, but there are only very few values which are changing. As of j starting from 1, 2, 3, 4. You are printing AR of 0, 1, 2, 3. These are the values which are changing. So as discussed, I, if it is 0, the first loop will get executed. Similarly, if I is 1, the second loop will get executed. If I is 2, the third loop will get executed. And finally, if I is 3, the fourth loop will get executed. I hope this much is clear to everyone. Now as discussed, when the I value is 0, I said the first loop will get executed. Yes. So when the I value is 0, can you tell me what is the j value over here? It starts from 1 and goes all the way till ar.length. And if you remember, that is what this was doing. Starts from index number 1, goes till index number 4. So if I have to write it down in this particular table, when the I value is 0, j is starting from 1 and it is going all the way till 4. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4. Similarly, when I is 1, that is the second loop. When I is equals to 1, where is the j starting from? J is starting from 2, going all the way till 4. That is 2, 3 and 4. And that is what this particular thing was doing. So all I will do is, when I is 1 over here, j is nothing but this particular loop, so that is 2, 3, 4. Similarly, when I is 2, third loop gets executed, and you can see j is starting from what? 3. So that is when I is 2, j is nothing but 3 and 4. Similarly, when I is 3, the last loop gets executed, and what is the last loop doing? It is going till 4. Yes, and where is it starting? It is starting from 4, so I'll just represent it as 4 over there. Now I would assume that everyone understood this particular table and what am I doing over here. Now if that much is clear, now let us start by simplifying the code which we have over here. So if this much is clear to everyone, can I get a quick yes in the chat? So yes, I can see a lot of yes over here. So if that is a scenario, we can proceed further and let us quickly see that how we can simplify this piece of code over here. Yes. Now as I discussed, there are 4 loops over here. There are total of 4 loops. I have to make sure that all these 4 different loops which are doing the same task again and again, I have to simplify it and make it as one single loop. If I have to do that, as discussed previously, in the first, second, third and fourth loop, there are only 2 values which are frequently changing. And what is that? J starting from 1, 2, 3, 4. Similarly, AR of 0, 1, 2, 3. So these are the only 2 values which are changing. So let me just quickly highlight them for you. And now if I just compress this code together, you can see the only 2 values which were changing, I have left it for now. We have to devise what should be written over there. Yes, but since we now have only one simple code over here, can I take this and put it within another loop which we discussed previously? Yes. So now I will start by writing one more for loop outside. And can you tell me what is the variable that I am going to use over here? That would be none other than what we have devised over here, that is I. So as discussed, I, which is starting from what? 0. So I will say I starting from 0. And you can see 0, 1, 2, 3. So the I value is increasing by 1 every single time. So I will say I plus plus. But the question is, what must be the condition? Where is I going till? If you carefully observe 0, 1, 2, 3. So in other words, can I say the I value is always less than 4? Because 0, 1, 2 and 3 are always less than 4. So I will say it as I is less than 4. I hope this is clear to everyone. Yes. So now my external loop is ready. Now it's time for me to come inside the internal loop, and you can see I have replaced this value with I, because this is what we were representing as 0, 1, 2 and 3. So I have replaced this with I. Yes. Now if you consider the j loop over here, where is the j value starting from will be the next question that we have. So to understand that particular thing, before that we will replace this with ar.length minus 1. Now the question, why ar.length minus 1, if you ask me, can you tell me what is the size of this array? ar.length, which is the size of the array, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is the size of the array. Now 5 minus 1 is what? Which is 4. So that is how I am representing this particular thing. I am saying I is less than 4, or in other words, according to the array, that is ar.length minus 1. I assume this is clear to everyone. Now when we come into the internal loop over here, as we can see, where is the j value starting from? To understand that, let us get back to this table which we have over here. If you carefully see, when the I value is 0, where is the j value starting from? 1. When I is 1, j is starting from 2. When I is 2, j is starting from 3. When I is 3, j is starting from 4. So in other words, can I say every single time this j value which you are seeing over here is nothing but 0 plus 1, which is 1, 1 plus 1, which is 2, 2 plus 1, which is 3, 3 plus 1, which is 4. So it means that every single time the j value is nothing but I plus 1. So it means that the j value is always starting from I plus 1. I hope this is clear to everyone. Yes. And now if you carefully observe this code over here, you can see there is an external loop which is using I. There is an internal loop which is making use of j, and then we have the print statement, and these 3 lines of code is what we use to print all the pairs which are present within the array. Now getting back to the previous problem that we had, now the size of the array is 5 over here. If it becomes 10, will my code work? Yes, of course it will work. Why? Because you can see we have replaced it with ar.length minus 1, ar.length, and everywhere we are making use of the variables and we are not hard coding any particular value. So now I would assume that with this simple explanation for how to print all the pairs in an array, it is clear that how it is possible for you to efficiently write a code so that you can print all the pairs which are present within this array. Yes, so this is the logic and the code behind how you can print all these pairs. So I would assume it is clear to everyone. If so, you can quickly put a yes in the chat so that we can quickly move and type out this program in our TIE portal and see whether we are passing all the different test cases that we have. So yes, I see there is a lot of yes over here, and I assume that you have already understood. So now let us just quickly move back to the TIE portal, and then let us see how we can solve this particular problem. So yes, sorry for the delay guys. So now as you can see, this is the TIE portal, and I would assume that majority of you have already got access to this particular portal and you are making use of this, and I assume you have also started solving the problems over here. So to quickly show you how our portal looks, as you might have already seen yesterday, this is our dashboard wherein you have the leaderboard and multiple things. So now if in case you want to take a test over here, you can come to this particular test session, and if you just scroll down, you can see there are 2 on-demand tests available over here. One which is MNC Interview Cracker and one more which is Infosys Interview Cracker. And I assume that few of you who have already seen this particular thing might have already started taking up the test over here. Yes. So if not, kindly makes the best utilization over here, so that we have included multiple questions which have been frequently asked in Infosys, not just Infosys, in multiple MNCs, so that this will be very easy for you to crack, and this will be moreover like a mock interview experience. Yes, so we'll just move on to what we are interested as of now, that is assignments. And if you carefully see under assignments, we have something called as Infosys Interview Cracker, and this is where we have been solving the problems yesterday. So let me just get inside Infosys Interview Cracker, and as you can see, these are all the different problems that we had, and as you can see, we have solved few of them yesterday, and today it's time for us to start by solving some new set of problems. And I would assume largest element, smallest element, all these were some things that was also already explained in the previous session by Rohit sir, and I would assume you people have already solved it. So without wasting much time, let us just quickly move on, and this is the question that we have, that is to print all pairs. Let us just click on solve. So now let me just close the navigation bar, and as you can see, this is the problem statement that I have. So I have to print all the possible pairs of the number from a given array. So let us just come to the sample input and output. So you can see there is two input, 4 which is the size of the array, and all the elements, that is 1, 2, 3 and 4. And you can see all the pairs are printed over here, that is 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4. Similarly 2, 3, 2, 4, then 3, 4. So these are all the pairs which are present. Now let us start by typing the program, and for that let me just make it to the full screen, and I'll just zoom in a little bit. Yes. So now as you can see, this is the boilerplate what we have over here, and this is where we have to start typing the code. So the first and foremost thing, as you can see over here, all that we have over here is just the n value which is given. So it means we have to create an array, store the elements, and then start by writing the code for this. So what is that I'm going to do is, I'll just quickly start by creating the array. And you need to understand one more thing, in all the online interviews whichever you have, 99% of the times all the input methodologies will already be given to you. All you have to do is write the logic which I have explained right now. So let me just quickly do it right now, that is create an array. So how to create an array in Java? Very simple, I'll say new int, and the size of the array is n. So for this I'll give a reference as AR. AR is of type integer one dimension. So now I have to take the input, so I'll make use of a for loop, where int I is equals to 0, I is less than AR dot length, and I'll say I plus plus. Within this, I'll say AR of I is equals to, I need to take the user input, that is using a scanner object. So I'll say scanner dot next int. So now I have created an array, also stored values within the array. What is the next thing if you ask me? I have to start by printing all the pairs. Very simple, we already know the code that we have discussed previously. So let us quickly start by writing the code over here. That is nothing but I need two loops over here. Yes, so the first loop that I am going to have is, let me say int I starts from, yes, as we have discussed previously, and we already know that the I value which starts from 0, and I'll say I is less than AR dot length minus 1, and let me say I plus plus. So this is the external loop that I have. Now within this I need to have one more loop, so I'll say for int j, which starts from I plus 1, so that is I plus 1, then j is less than AR dot length, and the j value is increasing by 1 every single time. So now it's time for us to print the pairs. So let me just say how to print in Java, that is with the help of system.out.print method. So I'll say system.out. That is print ln, so that you can move on to the next line. So I'll say AR of I with a space plus AR of j. So this is the code that I have right now. So how to understand whether our code is correct or not? Very simple, come and click on this run code. Now what this will do is, it will compile our code and see for the sample test cases whichever is available over there. And as you can see, it has compiled and it says compiled successfully. But how would you confirm that it is correct? All you do is, let me just come out of the full screen mode and let me just scroll down a bit. So if you carefully observe, this is the output that we have got and this is the output the computer is expecting. If you compare both, you can see that the answer is correct. Yes, I'll just scroll down a bit. And you can see both the answers are correct. So that means our code is correct. Yes, so all you have to do, come and click on this submit code. Now it will start to evaluate, and based on multiple test cases it will check. So you can see test case 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, all the 5 test case has passed. It means our code is 100% correct and you are good to go. I hope this is clear to everyone. Yes. So let me just get the code back. So this is the code that we have over here to print all the pairs. So all the pairs which are present within any given array. I assume there is no doubts in this. If so, if you are good to go, please put a yes in the chat or a thumbs up so that we can move and solve the next question as soon as possible. So I can see there are few queries regarding I didn't get mail for login, sir, it will be asking for registration. So whoever has not got the mail yet, please do not worry. So you will be getting the access very soon. So there won't be any restriction or something. You will be getting access to this particular module. We will be asking our team and making sure that everyone gets the access as early as possible. Yes, if you are facing any such trouble, you can please inform us. So even after filling the attendance form, it is not filling. Guys, please need not worry. We will ask our team to resolve all the queries whatever you are facing. So you need not worry. So I can see a lot of people who are saying that we can move on with the next session. That is the next question. So let us just quickly get back and start solving the next problem. So yes, this is the problem that we have discussed right now. So now let us see that what is the next problem that we have. Something that is very similar to what you have already solved, that is on pairs. So the question is, as you can see over here, so you have been given an array of integers and an integer value k. So now this is something different from the last question that we solved, and what is that if you ask me? Along with the array, we have an integer value k. Write a program to print all the pairs present in the array whose sum is equal to k. So now the input will be as follows. So first, the size of the array, the elements present in the array, and the third value is nothing but the k value. Yes. So now let us see how we can solve the problem. Before that, what is the output? Very simple. You have all the array elements present over here, 3, 4, 1, 2, 5. You have to print all the pairs present in the array whose sum is equal to k. K value is 6. So now you have to tell me which are the pairs over here whose sum is equal to 6. So if you carefully observe, 3, 4 is one pair, but is it equal to 6? No. 3, 1? No. 3, 2? No. 3, 5? No. So that means none of the pairs which is with 3 is possible to give us the sum 6? No. Suppose that 4, 1 which is equal to 5 not equal to 6. 4 and 2 which is equal to 6. So that means we have found one pair whose sum is equal to 6. Similar to that, 1 and 5 which is equal to 6. So that means we have two pairs over here, that is 4, 2, 1, 5. So these are the two pairs using which we can get the sum as 6. So the output for this particular program is nothing but 4, 2 and 1, 5 as discussed. So now let us see how we can solve this particular problem. Yes. To solve this particular problem, all that we will do is we will consider the array over here, that is 3, 4, 1, 2, 5. These are all the elements present in the array. Now what is that I am going to do is, I will just get the k value, and that is the 6. Along with that, let me just print all the pairs over here which is possible with this array. Now a very simple question to everyone. I would assume that if I am giving you an array and telling you to print all the pairs which are possible from this particular array, I assume every single one of you will be able to write the code, because that is the same thing that we have discussed right now. Yes. So if I have to get the code quickly, this is the code that we have discussed right now. So this code is responsible for printing all the pairs which are present. Now the requirement is, do I have to print all the pairs? No. Then what should I print? I should only print such pairs whose sum, that is, if I add both the pair elements, it should give me the sum which is equal to the k value over here. Then and only then I have to print the pair. So you know that this two loops which I have over here, there is an external for loop and internal for loop, and I have a print statement. This print statement is responsible for printing all the pairs. This print statement. So it means that if I am directly using this print statement, it will print me all the pairs which is not required for me. So instead of that, what should I do? I should put one filter over here The filter is nothing but if AR of I and AR of j, if you add both and it is equal to the k value, then and only then print it. So it means that a filter must come over here. So what is the filter? Before that, let us start by doing this simple operation. What is this? This is AR of I, this is AR of j. So I'll say 3 plus 4, which is equal to 7. Is 7 equal to 6? No, the condition is false. Similarly, 3 plus 1, which is equal to what? 4. Again the condition is false. 3 plus 2, which is equal to what? That is 5. 5, is it equal to 6? No, the condition is false again. 3 plus 5, which is equal to 8, condition is false. 3 plus 1 equal to 5, condition is false. 4 plus 2, which is equal to 6. Now you can see the condition is true because the k value is also 6 for us. So it means that you have to print this pair. Similarly, we will continue for all the values which are present over here, and you can see here the condition is again true, and finally 2 plus 5, the condition is again false. So it means that in the entire list of all the pairs, there is only 2 pairs which is satisfying the condition. Now to speak about it, what is the condition? The condition is very simple. As you already know, 3 plus 4, 3 plus 1, 3 plus 2, 3 plus 5, 4 plus 1. What are you doing over there? It is nothing but you are trying to say AR of I, yes, and you have AR of j. All you are doing is adding both of this. So that is all this one. This is AR of I and this is AR of j. All you are trying to do is add both of them. And after adding, you are actually checking for something. Whatever the sum this particular thing gives you, it must be equal to what? It must be equal to nothing but k. Now how do you check whether it is equal? For that we have one simple operator, and that is what this equal to operator does. So it means AR of I plus AR of j, you are checking whether it is equal to k. If in case the condition is true, the condition is true, then and only then execute the print statement over here. So it means this what you have over here is nothing but a condition. So how to put a condition? Always make use of the if block. So all I'll be doing is a very simple thing. This print statement I'll put inside an if block, and what is the condition I'm going to check is AR of I plus AR of j, is it equal to k? As simple as that. One small change in the code and the entire solution changes, and this was one more important question which was asked in the previous interview rounds. So I would assume this is clear to everyone. Yes? If so, we can quickly go and solve this particular problem and see if we are getting the expected output and passing all the multiple test cases. Yes? So to do that, let me just move back to our Thai portal. So yes, as we have completed this particular problem, let me just go there. So yes, as you can see, we have something called as pairs with sum k. So let us come and click on solve. So as you can see, there are multiple, okay. So it says print all the pairs of numbers from a given array whose sum is equal to target sum. So now if you carefully observe over here, so let me just zoom in a little bit. Yes. So you can see the sample test case over here, 5, which is actually the size of the array. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is nothing but the elements present in the array. And then I have 6, which is the target sum given to me. So I have to print 1, 5 and 2, 4. Why? Because 1 plus 5 which is equal to 6, 2 plus 4 which is equal to 6. So something which is very similar to what we have solved right now, just there is a small change in the way it is displayed. Similarly, we have one more, that is size of the array is 5. These are the sample inputs, the target sum is 7. So 4 plus 3 which is giving 7, 2 plus 5 which is giving 7. So now let us just quickly dive into the boilerplate and start typing the code then. So let me just magnify the editor and I'll zoom in over here. Again you can see over here we have been just given with the n value over here. So that means I have to create an array. So let me just quickly create the array. So array of type integer. So the size is n. So let me say AR. AR is of type integer, one dimension. I have to take the integer input, make use of a for loop where int I is equals to 0. I is less than AR dot length and I plus plus. So let me just come inside AR of I. I have to take the user input and store within the array. So let me say scanner dot next int. Suppose this, we have to consider one more thing. And what is the one more thing if you ask me? I also have to take a k value over here after taking the array inputs. So let me say integer type k, which is equal to scanner dot next int. So this is the input part, and you need not worry because 99% of the time this will already be available to you. So we will make one small change over here so that when you are typing the code, you need not have to write all of these things. So now if this much is clear, we can directly start by typing the code or the logic that we saw right now. So the first and foremost thing, we have to start by writing the code for what we call as pairs. And how to do that? Very simple. Let me just say for int I is equals to 0, I is less than ar dot length minus 1. This is the same code which we have discussed previously, that is to print all the pairs. So for int j is equals to I plus 1 and j is less than ar dot length and j plus plus. Once we move inside, the next thing is like we had a print statement over here which was responsible for printing all the pairs, but is it required for us now? No. So what is that we are going to do is we will put one filter or a if block which will check a condition. And what is a condition? AR of I plus AR of j is it equal to k. Now if in case the following condition is true, put a print statement, that is print ln, and what should you print? AR of I with a space plus AR of j. So now that we have written the complete code over here, let us test it out by just clicking on run code over here. Let it compile and let us see if we are getting the expected output. So as you can see, for the first sample input over here, 1, 5 and 2, 4. As expected, we are getting the expected output. Let me just scroll down. 4, 3 and 2, 5, the target sum is 7, 4 plus 3 which is 7, 2 plus 5 which is equal to 7. So it means that our code is working completely fine for the sample inputs. But is it fine if the sample inputs pass? No. We have to also check with the hidden test cases. Just scroll above, click on submit code, let it test for multiple hidden test cases, and if all the test cases pass, it means that our code is correct. So as you can see, all the test cases from 1 to 5 has successfully passed. It means that your code is 100% correct, and if this was a question that was asked in your interview round, it means that you are moving on to the next round. As simple as that. So I would assume this is clear to everyone, and this is the code that we have. So I assume that there is no doubts in this. So zoom it a little bit. I hope it is visible to everyone. So I can see many of you are getting giving me a text saying that your access will be restored once your payment is processed. So it's showing access restriction. I assume that many of you are facing the same problem of access restriction because of payment. So need not worry guys, we'll ask our team to quickly fix it so that you won't be facing any of this trouble. Need not worry, by the end of this session, we will make sure it is fixed for everyone. If not, just give us some amount of time so that all the issues that you're facing as of now will be completely cleared. And I am telling you, you will be able to completely access the portal and practice as much as you want. So yes, and at the same time, whoever is facing the trouble, so you can fill out the form please, so that our team will contact you and all your issues can be resolved. So whoever is facing the trouble, so you can see there is a form which has been pinned in the chat. So that is the attendance form. At the same time, you can also fill that particular form and state your query so that all the issues whatever you are facing, our team will contact you and it will be resolved. So you need not worry about this, you will be getting the complete access. You need not worry so that you can start with your practice. So if everyone agrees with that particular thing, can we move further and start solving the next problem? So yes, so now let us start by going on to the next problem and see what the problem is. And for that particular thing, It is something similar to what we have already solved right now. So the question is as follows. So you have to write a program to print all the pairs which consist of at least one prime element. Now what does this mean if you ask me? For that, let us take one example. And the example is nothing but, let me consider one array. So this is the array that I have over here. So what is it I am going to do? So let me just get this down. So yes, this is the array that I have over here. So let me consider few elements. So the elements are, so 2, 3, 4, say 6 and 7. So these are all the elements which are present within this particular array. Now the question states print all the pairs which consist of at least one prime element. Now before solving this, I would assume that in the previous class you have already discussed how to find or check whether a given number is prime or not. So if everyone knows that particular problem, we'll be making use of the same logic to solve this problem. And how to solve this? Very simple. Before considering all the element which has prime or something, let us ignore all of those points and let us consider one simple thing. And what is that if you ask me? That is, let us start by printing all the pairs which are present. So can you please let me know what are all the pairs that are present over here? Yes, so that is nothing but 2, 2, 3 is a pair, 2, 4 is a pair, 2, 6 is a pair, 2, 7 is a pair. Similarly, 3, 4, 3, 6, 3, 7. Not just that, we also have 4, 6, 4, 7 and finally 6, 7. So these are all the different pairs that we have over here. So if we have to consider all these pairs, and the requirement over here is we are not supposed to print all of these pairs. We only have to print such pairs which at least have one prime element. Yes, and I assume everyone already knows what are the prime elements that we have. So let me just quickly note down some of the prime elements over here which will be corresponding to the array elements. So the first prime element that we have is 2, 3, 5, 7, 11. And this goes on, but for the time being these are all the elements that are necessary for us, so let me just keep it like this. So now if you carefully observe, the first pair that I have is 2, 3, then 2, 4, 2, 6, 2, 7. So in this particular pair, do we have at least one prime element? So if you compare properly, we actually have 2 and 3, both of these are prime. Not just that, let us go to the next pair. 2 is a prime, 2 is a prime over here. In 2 and 7, both of these are prime. And the question states print all the pairs which consist of at least one prime element. So it means all these 4 pairs whichever I have over here have at least one pair. If it is 2 pairs, well and good, but if it at least has one pair, then consider it. Is it clear? So that means all of these pairs whichever I have over here. So all the pairs that I have, let me just put an underline over here to differentiate them. Yes. Now let us move on to the next set of pairs. I have 3, 4, 3, 6 and 3, 7. As you already know, 3 is a prime number. So any pair which has 3 in it, it is also a pair which I can consider. So that is 3, 4, 3, 6, 3, 7. Yes. Now similarly, if we move on to the next one, now you can see 4, 6. 4 and 6, none of them are prime over here. So should you consider this pair? No, this should not be considered. Then you have 4 and 7. As you can see, 7 is a prime number. So that means this is also considered. Similarly, 6 and 7, 7 is a prime. So consider this. So the output for this program should be nothing but all these pairs. All these pairs must be the output excluding 4 and 6. I hope the question is clear to everyone. Now, how to solve this particular problem if you ask me? Let me just quickly start by writing the logic over here. Then finally, we'll go on to the Thai portal and try to type out the entire code. So the very simple thing that I'm going to do is, so let me just erase all of this which is not required. And as we already know, the code for printing all the pairs. So we have a loop over here where I is what? I is starting from 0, I is less than AR dot length minus 1 and I plus plus. So I will be just writing it in short for your understanding. Later when we type out the code, we will be typing it completely. Similarly, I have for j which starts from I plus 1, j is less than ar dot length and j plus plus. So now within this, we had one print statement which I'll be representing it as SOP, which is nothing but system.out.print, that is println, and within this I used to print AR of I plus AR of j. Now as discussed yesterday, we already know that we know the code for to check whether a number is prime or not. Yes, so we had already written one method. So let me consider over here that I have a method. So let me just remove this particular question which I have. So yes, and this code which I have written over here, so yes. So now as you can see, this code which I have over here, this is for me to print all the pairs. Now I am not interested in printing all the pairs. Instead I should print only pairs which has prime numbers in it. So for that I also have a method over here. Let me say I have a method called as check prime. What does this method do if you ask me? Very simple. Returns, this returns true or false. If the number is prime, it will return true. If it is false, it will return false. As simple as that. So now every single time if there is an element over here, I will take that particular element and pass to this particular check prime. What is the scenario is if you ask me? A very simple thing. So I know all the pairs over here, but consider I do not know if the number is prime or not. So how to decide whether the number is prime or not? Very simple operation. Take this 2 from here, give it to check prime. What will this check prime do if you ask me? It will tell me true or false. If it tells me true, I know that this number is a prime number. If it tells me false, it means that the number is not a prime number. So if in case it returns true, that is when I am supposed to print this. Yes, so that means again I should put a filter over here. I should check a condition. And what is the condition if you ask me? So let me just take this print statement, keep it aside for the time being, and I will have one simple if block. And within this if block, I will be having the print statement. As simple as that. So what is the condition I am going to check? The condition that I am going to check is either 2 or 3, even either of them were true, that is prime, then I have to print or execute the code. If either of them, if both of them are not prime, it means that I should not print. So it means that first thing, how can I get this 2 over here? Very simple. This is nothing but AR of I. And what is this 3, 4, 6? That is nothing but AR of j. So if I have to take this 2 and give it to check prime, it is nothing but giving AR of I. So I will say a simple thing over here, that is, we'll call check prime and pass what? AR of I. Now if this returns true, then I am going to print the pair, but that is only applicable for this one particular number, that is AR of I, which you are seeing over here. But our question states that either of these, either of this, any one of this is prime, you print. So that means not just AR of I also have to check for AR of j. So that means this is not the only condition I have. I have one more condition, which is check prime and pass AR of j. So these are the two conditions that I have to check. Now as we told, if this is true, we will print. If this is true, we will print. If both of them are also true, we will print. If this is true and this is false, we will still print. If this is true and this is false, we will still print. When will we not print? When both of these conditions are false, that is when we are not going to print. So it means that any other condition apart from, that is, if it is true and true, so over here it is true, it is true. If both of these are true, you are going to print. So it means if both are true, print. Similarly, this is true and this is false, you are still going to print. So it means that true and false, still you have to print. If this is false and this is true, still you are going to print. So it means that false and true, you are still going to print. But if this is false and this is false, which means that both the pair elements are not prime, will you print? No. So that means when it is false and false, you are not going to print. Now when you see such a table, when it is true, true, you are saying true, true, false, true, false, true, true, false and false is false. What does it remind you of? You have to make use of one single operator and nothing but what we call as the OR operator. And how do you represent it if you ask me? Very simple, two straight lines or pipes. If you include two straight lines over here, it means that you are using an OR operator over here. If either of these conditions are true, execute the code. I assume this is clear to everyone? Yes? If it is clear to everyone and everyone understood, please put a yes in the chat so that we can quickly go and start typing out the program in our TIE portal. So I can see many of you have already given the answer as OR operator. Very good that you have started thinking and understanding the problem. So if so, let us just quickly go back to our TIE portal and start solving. So this is the code that we had for our previous problem. So now let us just move back from here. So let me just exit from full screen. Yes. And yeah, I have something called as, so prime number pairs. So this is the question. So let me just click on solve. So as you can see over here, print the number of pairs of number from a given array where at least one of the elements is prime. So if we just have to scroll down, you can see the explanation over here. So this is the size of the array and these are all the array elements 2, 3, 5, 7, 9. You have to print all the pairs or what? Print the number of pairs, which means that you have to count the number of pairs which are present. So if I have to do that, you can see over here 2, 3, 2, 5, 2, 7, 2, 9, 3, 5, 3, 7, 3, 9, 5, 7, 5, 9, 7, 9. These are all the pairs which are possible. So total of how many pairs? That is 10 pairs. The same thing if I have to include over here, very simple. What is that I am going to do? This is pair number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. So it means that there are total of 9 pairs which has at least one prime number. So the output for this, instead of directly printing the pair over here, now all you have to do is you have to keep one counter over here. How to keep a counter? Very simple. You remove this print statement and simply you say over here that is count plus plus. When the condition is true, you are just increasing the value of count, as simple as that. So the same code remains. If you want to print the pairs, you put one print statement. If you want to count the number of pairs, you count, that is count plus plus. This is the increment operator. So now, if we again move back to our Chrome browser, as you can see the explanation over here and we already understood it. So let me just go to the full screen mode and I would assume this is visible to everyone. So now let us start by typing the program. As you can see, the array is ready. We are calling a method, so we have to write our code over here. So what is the first thing that we have to do? We have to start by writing the code for loop, that is pairs. So I'll say for int I is equals to 0, I is less than ar dot length minus 1, I plus plus. Next for, that is int j is equals to, let me say I plus 1, j is less than ar dot length and then j plus plus. So now before actually printing over here, we are supposed to do something. That is where we put the filter or check whether the number is prime or not. But in case if we have to do something like this, if you carefully observe, do we even have the code over here to check whether a number is prime or not? No, it is not available. So that means we have to start by writing the code for check prime first, which you have already learned in the previous session. So quickly let me start by writing the code for that. So I'll say check prime. This is the method name. And what does this take as input if you ask me? Very simple. It takes integer n as input. So now inside this, let me start by writing the logic. What is the logic? First and foremost, I will be checking for a loop where we have also studied the 3 different approach, I assume, where the first loop goes till n by 2 and root of n. I will be writing the most efficient one, that is nothing but int I, which starts from 2, I star I is less than or equal to n, I plus plus. Here I will be checking one condition, that is if n has a factor. If n has a factor, how to check a factor or how to check the remainder is nothing but n mod I. So if I say n mod I and the remainder is equal to 0, it means that the number has a factor. If the number has a factor, we know that it is not a prime number, so we will say return, that is false. In case the loop executes and the control comes outside, it means that this condition never got executed and the number is a prime number, so you just say return true. So now this is the code for us to check whether a given number is prime or not. But there is one small problem. The problem is nothing but we are not including 1 over here. So let me just come above over here and say that if the n value is less than or equal to 1, as we already know, any value which is 1 or less than 1 is not considered a prime number. So I will say return false. I assume this is clear to everyone. So now if you say my method is not complete, I need to give a return type. What is the return type? That is false, false and true, which is nothing but boolean. So I will say boolean over here. Along with that, I will also attach public and static. Now why public, why static, that is a discussion for some other day. So right now let us just focus on how to solve this problem. A quick info is that if you want to use the method without actually creating an object of the class, make use of static. As simple as that. Public is just for the visibility so that it is visible for the code. So now if I just scroll above and come back to my pairs method, so here I will have one if block. In this particular if block, I have to start by calling this particular check prime method. So let me say check prime, and what should I pass? AR of I. Similarly, check prime AR of j. Either of the conditions are true, it has to execute. So it means OR. And if in case the condition is true, as we discussed, we have to count, not just print the pairs. So how to count? I will say count plus plus. But the problem is, have I created a variable called as count? It is not created. So that means before I even start the loop, I will say int count, which was initially equal to 0. I assume this is clear to everyone. And finally, when the entire loop is complete, it means that we have checked for all the different pairs. Now after checking all the pairs, we got the count. What should I do right now? Just return the count from here. So once you exit this particular loop, come outside and say return count. As simple as that. Now let us see if our code is working or not. I know that we have done a lot of things over here. Along that, we also have the code for check prime over here. So let us quickly see by clicking on run code, and if it compiles and executes, it means that our code is correct. So first thing, it gives us 10, and for the second one it gives us 3. So let us just quickly discuss what this 3 might be. So 1 and 2 is a pair. 2 is a prime number, so that is count 1. 1 and 3, 3 is a prime number, count 2. Then 2 and 3 is one more pair, count, so that is 3. So I assume we are getting the expected answer. So now to verify if our code is correct or not, let's just come and click on submit code over here. Let it evaluate for multiple test cases. So after evaluating multiple test cases, so you can see all the test cases have passed. So we also have a test case 5. So you can see all 5 have passed, which means that we have successfully written the code for this particular problem. And what is that you have to understand this from this code, if you ask me? There are two things. One thing, yes, you understood the logic, how to solve the problem and get the solution. But there is one more thing that you have to see. It is nothing but in an interview, it is not always like whatever the question is taught to you, the same question might come. Now this is a combination of two different topics, which we learned one today, that is how to print all the pairs, and the second one, which is check prime, which we learned yesterday. So it means that once you understand programming or once you get the problem solving ability, it means that you should start thinking in this particular way. A program is not always about just one simple solution. It is nothing but two different topics that you have learned, which you have put together and solved in this particular problem. So this is the way that you approach the problem. So before writing the code, the most important thing is always break down the problem, understand what is the requirements, accordingly think of the logic, and then finally write the code. Because thinking of the logic and arriving at the solution is the difficult part, not writing the code. Writing the code can hardly take you 2 to 5 minutes, but thinking of the solution and arriving at this point is what takes the most time. So I would assume that everyone would follow this approach of first understanding the problem, after understanding the problem, break it down to make it into simpler problems. After making into simpler problems, you have to see how to arrive at the solution, then put it all together, and finally you will be having the code which will execute, and this is how you will be clearing your interviews. So now if this problem is clear to everyone, I would expect you to put a thumbs up so that we can solve some more problems, move on to the next one. So I can still see many of you have the queries regarding the portal. I'm telling you guys, we are really sorry for that, but please do not worry, all your issues will be resolved. So you will be getting access to the portal as early as possible. Our team is currently working on that. In the meantime, you can fill your attendance form so that our team will at least contact you and make sure that all the issues that you are facing is resolved. So I assume this is clear to everyone. Yes. So I can see some of you who is asking about time complexity and everything. Yes, I understand that the time complexity over here will be more, that is n square, but you need to understand one more thing, that in this limited amount of time, there are certain restrictions that we also have, in the sense that we cannot go in depth. Now, if you are a person who thinks from that perspective and want to improve your code or optimize your code, there is one more thing that you can do. A very simple, that is, if you go to Tap Academy's YouTube channel, there is a playlist called as Data Structures and Algorithm, which is solving majority of the problems which are asked in any MNC interviews. And if you are a person who is dreaming for any of the MANG companies or want to be in a product based company and want to earn more, that is your go-to place. So I would ask you to invest some time so that you can go through the data structures and algorithm course. Make sure that you practice as many problems as possible to such a level that the moment you see the code, you must be able to optimize it. So now for a general audience and everything, we are solving the problem in this particular approach. And if you ask me, will this pass all the test case? 100% it will pass the test case. But if you are a person who wants to optimize it and make your code better, I would ask you to please go through the data structures and algorithm course, which is available in the playlist under Tap Academy's YouTube channel. So please go through it. You will get a clear-cut view about what and how to optimize your programming, and that will extensively improve your problem solving ability. So with all those things, let us just move on and see what the next problem that we have over here is. So the next problem is, if you carefully see in the same module that you have over here, so there is a problem called as count inversions. So let me just click on solve and let us see what the problem over here is. Now this is one such problem which would be feeling difficult the moment you read the question. Why? Because you can carefully see, for a given integer array AR of size n containing all distinct values, find the total number of inversion. And inversion is what? It is defined as, for a pair of integers, the array when AR of I. So that is, when AR of I is greater than AR of j and I is less than j. Now I know that the moment you read this problem statement, you would have already given up on the problem. But really speaking, is it that difficult? No, once we understand the problem, we will have a better view. So let us come to this particular explanation and try to see. So first thing, the sample input, we have 3, the size of the array and all the elements which are present within the array, and this value that we have is 3. Now what is this 3? To understand that, let us just go above and start by seeing the explanation. Explanation is very simple. You can see the size of the array elements, and the sample output says 3. Why? Because the inversions are 3, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1. Now what does this mean? To understand that, let us just get back to our editor and we'll just take one simple example over here. And what is the example if you ask? So let me consider the array over here. So and the values that we had over here was that is 3, 2 and 1. 3, 2, 1. So I'll just remove all of these extra things that we have. So yes, this is the array that I have right now. Now what do you mean by inversion was the next question that we had. So before doing that, let me just quickly tell you, if the array is given as follows, do you know how to print all the pairs? Yes, we already know how to print all the pairs. So if I have to print all the pairs, let me just print it first. 3, 2 is a pair, 3, 1 is a pair, 2, 1 is a pair. So these are the different pairs which are possible over here. So now, what is an inversion if you ask me? They had given one simple statement. The statement was nothing but AR of I should be greater than AR of J. This was one statement that they have given. Apart from that, what was the other statement if you ask me? We also had something called as the I value should always be less than the J value. This is what they have told us. Now just by looking at it, you might feel that this is a complex problem. So let us start by breaking it down. Very simple. These are the different pairs that we have. Let me just keep all the pairs down. And above the pairs, I will write the index of these pairs. How if you ask me? 3. What is the index of 3? That is 0. Index of 2, which is 1. Index of 3, which is 0. Index of 1, which is 2. Index of 2, which is 1 and 2. I hope everyone understood what I did over here. So that is for 3, the index is 0. 3, index is 0. For 2, index is 1. Now, as per the requirement, you know that whatever you have over here, this is AR of I. And whatever you have over here is AR of J. So let me just take this a bit above. Yes. So all this you have over here is AR of I. All that you have over here is AR of J. So all they are saying is the AR of I value should always be greater than AR of J value. That is, this should be greater than AR of J. And the I value which you have over here, this is the I value that you have. That is the I value. This I value should always be less than the J value. So if you say 0 is less than 1, 0 is less than 2, 1 is less than 2. So if you consider any pairs that we have print till this point of time, the I value is always less than the J value. For example, if you consider all the pairs which you have over here, the I value is always less than J because 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 4, 0, 2. So the I value is always less than J. That it means that they are just talking about pairs over here. Now, what is this if you ask me? Very simple. All they are trying to say is, that is, the first element of pair should be always greater than second element of pair. This is the problem. I assume with this particular statement, everyone understood what the problem statement is. It is nothing but they are asking you to print all the pairs in which the first pair element is always greater than the second pair element. If we go to the previous example that we have over here, you can see these are all the pairs that you have. All you have to do is print only such pairs wherein the first element is always greater than the second element. So what do I mean by that? You see 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 6, 2, 7. AR of I, is it greater than AR of J? No. Not just that. 3, 4, 3, 6, 3, 7. Any of this is greater? No. 4, 6, 4, 7. No. 6, 7. It means that we don't have any pair over here. In case if the array was in a different way wherein AR of I is greater than AR of J, that is all you have to do. It means that the code which you already have. So let me just take the same code which I have over here. Come to a new page over here and let me just paste it. So this code which you have over here, the filter that you have over here, change this and change the condition to nothing but AR of I is greater than AR of J. So this is the code. So you are not supposed to count over here. I assume everyone already understood what you are supposed to do. You are supposed to just print AR of I with AR of J. This is what you are supposed to do. I assume the logic is clear to everyone. If so, please put a thumbs up in this chat so that we can proceed further. Quickly type the code and see if all our test cases are passing. So now if in case we move back over here and if you read the same problem statement, I assume now you understood what this inversion is. They are just using some complicated hi-fi English term just to confuse you. And they also know that when you see such a problem statement, it is very easy for a student to get confused because nobody has the patience to read it and then understand. Why? Because you always know interview is such a place wherein you are in such an environment where pressure is at the peak. The answers that you know, you will start to blabber. So that means that a question which you are not even understanding, how will you arrive at the solution even though you know the solution? As simple as that. So how to solve this particular problem? We already have the logic. So let me just quickly come over here. So this is where I have to write the code. So I think, so yes, this is where I have to start by typing the code. Very simple. All that I am going to do over here is, so I guess there is a small mistake over here which has to be rectified. So let me just remove this particular print statement. So let me say, count. So you need not worry, we will be fixing this from the back end so that you won't face this problem. Count inversion, and let me pass this array. And over here I'll just change the name to count inversion and make this as void. So now here is where I have to start by typing the code. Very simple. I'll start by typing the code for the pairs which we already know. I'll say int I is equals to 0. I hope by now it is already in the back of your head how to type the code for pairs. So let me just quickly do it. Similarly, for int j, which starts from I plus 1, j is less than ar dot length, and j plus plus. So here, before actually printing all the pairs, what is that I have to do is very simple thing. I have to check a condition. The condition is ar of I, is it greater than ar of j? If the following condition is true, what should I do? I should print, that is ar of I with a space plus ar of j. So now this is the code that I have. As discussed, very simple, you just had to change the condition over here, and if I just come and click the run code over here, it will start to compile and you can see I am getting a certain answer. But there is a small mistake over here. The mistake is the answers are correct. What is the mistake? I am using print over here. This should be print ln so that it moves to the next line after printing. So again, let me just click on run code. So you can see 323121. Similarly, 2151, 53, 54. These are all the answers. So let us just quickly click on submit the code. Multiple test cases, as you can see, it has failed over here. Yes. So now it's time for us to see what is the problem and why it has failed over here. So as you can see over here, there is some problem in the test cases because of which we are not getting the expected answer. You can see, I'm sorry, yeah. So you can see over here, though the sample test cases are passing, so let us see, run again and compare with our solution over here. Oh, I'm sorry, again print the total number of inversions. Again, really sorry with that thing. So we had not read the question properly. Very similar to the previous one, you are not supposed to print the inversions. Instead, what are you supposed to do? You have to count it. So how do you count it? Very simple. If we just get back over here as discussed previously, remove this print statement from here, and what should you do? You should just have one simple count plus plus. I assume this is clear to everyone. I know I made a mistake over here just assuming that it was to print. So kindly do not make such mistakes when you are in an actual interview. Even though if you are making a mistake, kindly have the capability so that you can resolve the mistake on spot and get to the expected answer. So now if in case we have to move back and see how to solve the problem, very small change over here. All that I have been doing is, so here I have to say count plus plus. And before that, let me just create int count which is equal to 0. Post that, come to the next line and let me say system.out.println, and what should I print? That is count. So now if in case I click on run code, let us see if you are getting the expected answer. You can see I am getting 3. Similarly, I am getting 4. So better for the confirmation, we will just cross check it with the sample input and output that we have over here. So it is 4. So that is 4. So it means that our sample input and output is proper. So always verify your code before executing. Then click on submit code. So now let us see if it is working. So it is running for multiple test cases. So as you can see, it has passed all the test cases. So there is no problem in the code. The only mistake was I was trying to print the pairs instead of this count and then print the pairs. That is print the count value. I assume it is clear to everyone. Yes. So now in the previous, I would assume 1 to 1.5 hour of this particular session, we have solved a lot of problems including pairs. So all the problems that we had till this point of time was somehow related to arrays, and we were solving with the help of array pairs. So you can expect multiple problems like this. Are these the only problems? No. You can get any type of problems. Now the count inversion, they are saying AR of I is greater than AR of j. They can replace this and say AR of j is greater than AR of I. What is the change? The change is nothing but in the condition, replace it or reverse it, AR of j should be greater than AR of I. As simple as that. I assume this is clear to everyone. You can get any variation of this particular problem, and I would assume the only change would be printing the pairs will always remain the same. Printing the pairs always remains the same. What is the change? The change is nothing but the condition that you are going to check. So with this, I would like to wind up with the concept of arrays, array pairs. If you ask me, are there more problems? Yes, there will be n number of problems, but we have selected very few problems that we have seen repeating in the Infosys interview. So with this basic understanding, I would assume you people can go and solve even some more problems which are available. At the same time, also take the on-demand test to understand what is your current standing and where you are standing, if not, where you have to improve yourself. So now what is the next thing that we are going to solve? If that is a question, we will be starting with a new concept over here, or new type of problems. And what is that new type of problems if you ask? That is something what we call as strings. And the question that you have over here is something like this. You have been given a string S. Write a program to print the number of spaces which are present within the string. A very simple problem. What does it mean if you ask me? The input will be as follows. You can see how are you. How are you? You can just put it in the chat. So now how are you? So what is that you are supposed to do is, you have to count the number of spaces which are present in the string, and if you carefully see, there is one space over here and there is one space over here. So total of 2 spaces. So the output for this program should be nothing but the number of spaces, which is 2. Assume the question is clear to everyone. Now, if the question is clear to everyone, let us see how we can solve this particular problem. And in order to solve this particular problem, let us just get the string that we have over here, that is how are you. So let me see any messages in the chat regarding how are you people doing? Good. I can see only thumbs ups over here. Very nice. So now how are you over here? We have to start by counting the number of spaces which are present within the string. So before actually solving this, you need to understand one thing, and what is that if you ask me? String or an array always has index, and the indexing always starts from 0, and it is for this the length of the string is 11, so the last index is 10. Now how to check whether there is space in the string or not if you ask me? You can see HOW space ARE. String is nothing but what we call as collection of characters. Now how do you represent a string in Java if you ask me? That is nothing but with the help of double quotes. And how do you represent a character? With the help of single quotes. Now whatever that is present over here is a string, whatever this is a character. So with this basic understanding, what is that we can do is, when you have a string like this, if you start fetching each character from this particular string, we will be getting the expected thing, whatever that we are supposed to do. So how to do that if you ask? I will start from the 0th index, go till the last index, and then try to fetch the character. It is very similar to if I give you a task. The task is, let me give you a sheet of paper, a newspaper, and I will ask you to count the number of spaces present in the newspaper. What will you do? Will you start to randomly count? No. You will start from the first word, go till the last word which is present in the newspaper. Finally tell me how many spaces were present. Now you know that in a newspaper lot of strings, lot of words, lot of spaces, so it would be difficult for you to remember. So what you will do? You will keep one book with you wherein you will be noting down the count. So this is how you will do. Same approach, let us convert it into code. So what is that I am going to do is, I have to start by fetching the characters over here. How to fetch the characters? Very simple. For that I will make use of count over here. The purpose of count, as I said, we will have a book with us to note down how many spaces. That is the job of this count. So now we will start by fetching the first character, and I will be using I. What is the purpose of I? I is used to traverse this particular string. Is it clear to everyone? Now what is that I am going to do is very simple. I want to get h. How can I get h if you ask me? There is one method in Java, and that is what we call as s.caret, and I will fetch this particular character. When I fetch this particular character, I will compare whether this is space or not. As you know, it is not a space. Ignore that, move to the next index. Fetch this particular character s.caret at I. How to write that we will be seeing in some time. Tell me, is this a space or not? No, it is not a space. So all you do is move it to the next index. Again check if it is a space. No, it is not a space. If this is not a space, what will you do? Again just move on to the next index. Now you check whether this is equal to a space. This, as you are saying, is equal to space. Now when you have encountered a space, all you have to do is this count which you have over here, increase the value of count. From 0 make it to 1. So this count will now become 1. I assume this is clear to everyone. So what is that we have been doing is, we have been checking a condition s dot caret at I. Is it equal to space? This is space. So that is why you increase the value of count. Now you know that when I am using this equal to, it means that it is telling me either true or false, because I am comparing the LHS with the RHS. So if it is returning me true or false over here, it means that this is a condition that I have. So if this is a condition that I have, I can put this within the if block. And when the condition was true, what did you do? Increase the value of count. So count plus plus. As simple as that. Now, once you check the condition is true, you are increasing the value of count. If the condition is false, are you increasing the value of count? No. So that means there is no need for an else part. Because anyways, if it is not true, you are not doing anything. So similarly, we will move from here to the next index. Check the condition is false. Should you do anything? No. Count value will remain as it is. Not just that, again move to the next index from here. Check the condition is false. Do not increase the value of count. Similarly, again move to the next index. Check the condition is false. So every time when the condition is false, all that you are doing is just ignoring and moving to the next index. Finally, when you find s.caret at I equal to space, now the condition is true. Now you are increasing the value of count. Yes, so count actually becomes 2. I assume this is clear to everyone. Now will you stop this? No, you will not stop. You will go till the last. Why? Because similar to a newspaper, after counting 2 spaces, will you stop? No, you will start from the starting, you will go till the last. The same way, you again move on to the next index from here. Condition is false. Again move to the next index. Condition is false. Again move to the next index. Condition is false. Every time the condition is false, count is as it is. So that means in this particular problem, you started the I value from the 0th index, went till the last index. Now whenever you have something like this, what can I make use of? Yes, that is nothing but loops. So all I will do is, I have traversed this particular string from the 0th index till the last index. I will be writing a loop for that. And this is how the loop structure will look, where I value is starting from 0. The I value was increasing by 1 every time. It was not skipping like 2, 3, 5, 8, 10. No, it was increasing by 1. So that is I plus plus. And what is the condition if you ask me? Less than 11. As long as the I value is less than 11, we were executing the loop. Or in other words, if I have to say, if I have to get the length of the string, there is a method for that. As you saw in array, that is ar.length, in string we have something called as s.length, and you can see this is a method. So all you have to say is I is less than length. Now if you run this particular code, finish the loop, come outside, print the value of count, you will be getting the expected answer. As simple as that. I assume this is clear to everyone. If so, we can quickly go to the TIE portal and solve the problem and try to understand if it is executing and working for all the different test cases. So I can see few of you have already given some answers. Very good that it is you have started thinking about it. So yes, now that we are back into our TIE portal, let us see if we are getting the expected answer by typing out the code over here. So yes, under the assignments, if I just scroll down a bit, so yeah, you can see there is a question called as count spaces over here. So let me just click on solve. So as you can see the input, so given a string, count and print the number of spaces present in the string, as we already know about that. So hello world, as you can see there is one space over here and the output is 1. Similarly, so there is something called as gamify learning, simplify employment. So there are spaces at the starting, so even including that it is a total of 5. So now let us see if we are getting the expected answer for this. So let me just enlarge the screen, and over here we have to start by typing the code. So everything is ready for us, our code has to come over here. What is that? First and foremost, we need a book wherein we can write the count, and what is that? A variable. So let me say int count is equals to 0. Now over here I'll come to the next line, let me say for, what is it? For int I is equals to 0, I is less than s dot length I plus plus. So what is it we have to do over here is very simple, that is check a condition if s dot char at I is equal to, that is space. So you are comparing over here. If the comparison passes, all you have to do is increase the value of count. Now post the completion of everything, that is completion of this loop, come outside and all you have to do is return. Return what? That is return count. Now in case if we just click on run code, let us see if there is any mistakes in our code. You can see hello world, it is 1. Gamify learning and simplify, so it is 5, so we are getting the expected answer. So how to confirm it? Come and click on the submit code over here. Now if in case you click on the submit code over here, evaluate for multiple test cases, as you can see all the test cases have passed. I would assume this is clear to everyone and I hope there is no doubts. Yes. So this is the code for us to count the number of spaces which is present in any given string. So I assume that everyone understood. If so, please put a yes in the chat so that you can let me know that you are still awake and not asleep, by the way. So yes, I'm sorry there was a slight delay, so I just wanted to see if all of you are awake and still listening to the class. So I can see one person asking what is the difference between void and int. So it is Shahir, I guess. Yeah, Shahir is asking the question, what is the difference between void and int? Shahir, for now I cannot go in depth, but I'll just give you a quick explanation. It is nothing but what this particular method you are seeing over here is returning. So now int is what I am saying over here. Why? Because you can see count is what I am returning over here and the type of this count is int. So it should be int over here. Whatever the method is returning, that is what should be the return type of the method. So the method is returning count over here. So if you come over here, count is of type integer. So just take this and put it over here. Similarly, what is void if you ask me? You might have seen some methods where there is no return statement at all. If there is no return statement, it means that the method is not returning anything. It is not returning anything in technical words is what we call as returning nothing or void. That is the difference between void and int. I assume it is clear to everyone. Yes. So with that, let us just quickly go to the next problem and see what the next problem is. So I assume everyone is high on energy so that we can go and start solving the problem. So with that thing, I can see a lot of yes in the chat. So with that particular thing, let us start with solving the next problem, and the next problem that we have is something like this, and that is given a string s, write a program to count the number of words in the string. So if the input is as follows, as you can see, how are you, the same string. So I assume everyone can tell me how many inputs are, like how many words are there. It is nothing but 3 words. Yes, so the output for this particular program should be nothing but 3. So it means that we already know the code for this. How do we know, if you ask me? In the previous example, if you carefully remember, how are you, what were we doing? We were counting the number of spaces. And in this particular problem, what are we doing? We are counting the number of words. So if you carefully observe, there are 2 spaces over here. If there are 2 spaces, how many words does it mean? 1, 2, 3. Assume it is clear to everyone. So what does it mean is, I just have to do one small change to the previous code, and that is nothing but, so I assume everyone understood what is this. So all you had to do over here is, previously we were returning, that is count. So now instead of returning count, if we say count plus 1, so let me consider hello world. How many spaces does this string have? This string have nothing but 1 space. So how many words does it have? It has 2 words. So it is nothing but plus 1, which is equal to 2. Similarly, how are you? How many spaces? We had 2 spaces. How many words? Plus 1, that is equal to 3. So all it means is the code which I already had. To this, if I say plus 1, that is plus 1. This is the code. I assume everyone understood this, and that is what I'll be doing in the code right now. So let me just get the code over here, and as you can see, that is nothing but count plus 1. So it is system.out.print, we will just make it as return count plus 1. I assume this is clear. So now let us just quickly go to the Thai portal, directly write this code and see if it is working or not. So if I just move back to my Chrome and get our Thai portal over here, so let me just come back, and there was a problem over here. So you can see word count in a string. So let me just click on solve over here. So how to solve the problem as discussed, and I can see many of them, they are giving a lot of text. So in Java, okay, initially we can take count is equals to 1, or we can print count plus 1. Kumar, very good that he has said that there are 2 ways to do this. Either you can say count plus 1, or the other thing is you can start count from 1 and finally print the value of count. So what does he mean? While typing the code, we'll get a better understanding. So let me just expand the editor over here, and this is where I have to type the code. So yes, very simple as previously. Let me create a count variable which starts from 0, or as Kumar said, you can start this from 1. Next, for I have to traverse the string completely. So I is equals to 0, I is less than s dot length, I plus plus. So what is that I have to do over here? So I have to see if s dot char at, that is char at I, is equal to space, then count plus plus, then come outside and finally return count plus 1. I assume this is what many of you have been saying. Yes. So now let us just quickly click on run code and see if it is working. So you can see the input was hello world, it is giving me 2, the programming is fun. You can see the output is 3. So I assume we are getting the expected output and a very simple code. So then what I will be doing is, I will just come over here and click on submit code, because my code is correct and it is working, and this is where you will fail in an interview. Why? Because you can see test case 3 and 4 passed. Similarly, we have test case 5. Okay. So test case 1 is failed, test case 2 has failed, test case 3 and 4 has passed somehow, test case 5 has failed. So now the problem is, sir, we discussed for the last few moments that all we had to do is count plus 1, but why are we not getting the answer? What is the problem if you ask me? And I can see many of you have put in the chat saying what is the problem. Very good that you have identified the problem. Very nice. So now for people who did not understand the problem, let us see what the problem actually is. The problem is nothing but we discussed that if we have how are you over here, 1 space, 2 space, 2 plus 1 is nothing but what? 3. Yes, and that is the output we were getting. But we forgot to assume one more scenario wherein there can be multiple spaces like this. Now tell me, if there are multiple spaces like this, what will happen? Very simple. How many words are there? 3 words are there. How many space? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there are a total of 8 spaces and our code is nothing but what? Return count plus 1. 8 plus 1 is what? 9. Are there 9 words over here? No, it means that our test case will fail. These are edge test cases in which in every single interview you have to think, because sample input and output will be designed in such a way to confuse you people and make you think that your code is correct. But where will you actually fail? If you ask me, this is where you will fail. So now it is time for us to discuss how we can approach this and make sure we do not make this mistake over here. So to do that particular thing, we will consider one simple scenario over here, that is nothing but this is the string that I have and I have multiple spaces over here. So we know that we are not supposed to consider all the 4 spaces. Yes. But in other words, if I have to say, if there is 4 space over here, should I consider 4 space or consider it as 1 space? If I consider this as 1 space, I will get the answer. Yes, and that is what we have discussed. So it means that this 4 space should now be considered as 1 space. This 4 space should now be considered as 1 space. And how to do that? Well, let us discuss. So for that particular thing, this 4 spaces which I have over here, if I change this and make this as 10 spaces, still should I consider it as 1 space? Yes. So based on multiple observation, let there be how many our spaces? Always I will be considering the space in between over here as 1 space. Space in between over here as 1 space. I assume it is clear to everyone. So how will you do this if you ask me? For that particular purpose, as previously discussed, I will be making use of a variable called as I. What is the use of this I if you ask me? It is to check what the character is. Now we have been doing that, we got the wrong answer. So how to fix that? So if you consider these 4 spaces over here, the spaces which I have over here, the 4 spaces, but this space which I have over here is something different. How it is different if you ask me? Next to this space, I don't have a space. But if you consider over here, space next to this is also a space. Space next to this is space. Space next to this is space. But the last space I have over here is not a normal space. Next to that, I have a normal character, which is not a space. And this is the loophole which I will be taking and solving the problem. How if you ask me? Now I am checking s dot character at I, is it equal to space? Along with that, I will also check if the next character is not a space. How to do that? That is I plus 1. So if I can get I by saying this, this is I plus 1. So I will say s dot character at I, which is space, and I will also check s dot character at I plus 1 is not a space. If that condition is true, then and only then I will increase the value of count. This is the approach. So we'll start by checking the condition s dot character at I. We already have the condition. S dot character at I plus 1. Is it not a space? This is a space. So the condition is failing. So we just move to the next index. S dot character at I. This is space. I plus 1. Space or not a space? This is equal to space. So I should not consider. Move to the next index. S dot character at I is a space. I plus 1 is again a space, but what do I need? I need I plus 1 not to be a space. So it means again the condition is failing. Now I will move to the next index, and this is the space we were looking for. Why? Because you have s dot character at I as space, and I plus 1 as not a space. So all that I will be doing is s dot caret at I equal to space is one condition. Along with that, I will say s dot caret at I plus 1 not equal to space. If I can check this condition and tell me both the conditions has to be true. If both the conditions are true, then increase the value of count. How to do that is just put one operator. What is the operator? If both are true, only then it is true. True, false, it is false. False, true, false. False, false, false. True and true is only when it is true, and as discussed previously, OR operator is when you have both false and then only it is false. What will you use over here if you ask me? It is nothing but an AND operator. I assume this is clear to everyone. The same thing we will repeat over here. I just fast forward it. So you can see s dot caret at I plus 1, space equal to space. Condition is false. Move next. I plus 1, space not equal to space. Condition is false. Move to the next. I plus 1. Again condition false. When you reach here, s dot caret at I equal to space, I plus 1 is not equal to space. The condition is true. Increase the value of count. If you increase the value of count, count will become true. Finally, when you say count plus 1, you will get the answer as 3. I assume everyone in the chat understood this particular logic. If so, we can quickly get back to Chrome, and whatever the mistake we made over there, let me just quickly change it and write the correct code. And the only change is the condition which I have. Let me say and I'll say s dot char at I plus 1 is not equal to, that is space. And this is how you represent not equal to, by the way. So you have to say an exclamatory followed by an equal to. So now, if in case I run this particular program, I should be getting the expected answer. So I'll click on run. Run will anyways work because even for the previous example I was getting the output, so there won't be any problem. But the problem was when I was hitting on the submit code and there were multiple test cases. So now if I scroll above and click on submit code, so you can see something over here. It says test case passed, again the same problem. But now the problem has changed. You can see this. It says runtime error. Previously it was test case failed. Now it is saying runtime error. So now this is what you people have to start thinking of. I discussed the problem all this time. I told you this is what the approach is, but still I am getting now a new problem. No longer it is test case failed. It is telling a runtime error. What might be the problem? People who have been responding in the chat very frequently, you can quickly let me know. So I can see Prashant has already told me the answer. Very good. So Karthik has also given me the answer. Nice that you people have started thinking of multiple approaches and trying to get the answer. So now what is that I'll be doing is, let me just quickly get back to the animation that we have and see what the problem over here is. The problem is very simple. We took this point of time, and now all I will be doing is, let me just move from here and go to the last index. Now what is happening over here is, if I go to this particular way and consider the string actually has a space at last. If this string has a space at last, what will happen if you ask me? Very simple. S dot caret at I is what? Caret at I is space. That is what we are checking. Condition is true or false? Condition is false. When this condition is false, of course, you will just move to the next index. When you move to the next index, what will happen? S dot caret at I equal to space. Condition is true. When this particular condition is true, you will check for the next condition. S dot caret at I plus 1. I is what? 17. I plus 1 is what? 18. Do we have 18 over here? No, we do not have 18, which means that it will give you an exception. That is what the runtime error which you are seeing. It is nothing but string index out of bounds. You might have seen array index out of bounds. Similarly, string index is out of bounds because you are trying to access something which does not even exist. This will give you an exception. So how can you fix that if you ask me? Very simple. If you are standing at this particular point, you are not supposed to go to the next. As simple as that. Moreover, like this is India and the next one is Pakistan. So you are standing at the border over here. If you keep your hands like this, that is your hand is crossing the Pakistan border. Consider there are someone who will cut your hand the moment you cross the border. That is what is happening. You are standing over here, but your hand is where? Your hand is in the Pakistan border. So this should not happen. So how will you fix this particular issue is, you stand one step behind. So instead of going till this particular point, you stand one step behind, always. And this is how you have to check. So what will you do is, instead of going till s dot length, till the last index, you go last but one index. So that is, start from the 0th index, go till 16, make one small change. What is the change? That is -1. I assume this is clear to everyone. Yes? If this is understood, if you quickly put a yes in the chat, we can quickly go to Chrome and try to type out the code and see if we are getting the expected output. So I can see, what if the space starts from starting of this thing? Okay. So split the words, Josh Gaming. So I'll just get back to you in some time. So Lakshmi is saying split the words and print its length. That is one more way which you can do. But if in case the interviewer says do not use any inbuilt method, that would be a problem which you will be facing. So it is always good to know how to solve the problem even without using an inbuilt method. Yes. So next, so string bounded. So I see some of them are given. So confirm whether last index is valid index or not, perform count operation if only. So that is what I have explained as of now. So let us just quickly get back to Chrome and see what is the change that we have to do. So you can see there is a runtime error over here. How to fix this? Very simple. Come back over here and instead of going till s dot length, say s dot length -1. This is what we were expecting. Now again, let us just come and click on submit code. So you can see test case passed. 1, 2, 3 and 4 has passed, but again we have a problem. Test case number 5 is still failing. So now that means that even after multiple iterations and thinking about the solution in different ways, our test case is still failing. Now why is it failing? And this is something that you have to keep in mind, because in an interview this will be the scenario wherein you have 10 test cases, your 9 test case will pass, but 1 test case will fail. And that 1 test case, why is it failing? You won't be able to know, because the test case is hidden for you. So this is where, when you solve multiple number of problems, n number of problems, your mind will automatically rewire and start thinking of, this is how I have to solve the problem. This is the solution. This is what I have to do. So what is the problem over here is very simple. To understand that, I will now get back to the point of many comments which I have seen. That is nothing but, sir, we have already discussed regarding all the things, but there is one simple problem. The problem is nothing but, what if there is a space at the starting? And this is what many of you were speaking about, and I guess I have addressed your query right now. So this is the problem. The problem is nothing but, what if there is a space at starting? What will happen is very simple. S dot caret at I plus 1. I is space, I plus 1 is not a space. Condition is true, you increase the value of count. Count becomes 1. So let me say count becomes 1. Again you will move from here, you will reach this point. S dot caret at I plus 1. Condition is true. Count becomes 2. Again when you reach this particular point, I and I plus 1. Condition is true. Count becomes 3. Now what is 3 plus 1? 3 plus 1 is equal to 4. So the answer you are getting is 4. But how many words are there? There are only 3 words. This is your last test case, wherein if there are spaces at the starting, what will happen? What will happen is nothing but, this space will be counted and accordingly your answer will be wrong. Now comes the point that how to solve this particular problem. How can we come up with a solution for this? So people who are able to think of it can put a quick reply in the chat so that I can see that yes, you have been engaging in this particular session. So if in case you understood it, we can just move on with the further thing, and let me explain it for you quickly. You can see that there is a space and then there is a character. Now when there is space and character, this is what you are counting. But my question is, if there is 1 space or if there is 100 space, how many times will you count? You will always count it as 1. Let there be 100 spaces like this, and then you have how? What is going to happen is nothing but when you reach this point, this is when the count value is increasing. So it does not matter if there is 1 space or 1000 space over here, it is always considered as one count. So in other words, if I have to say, if I am counting the first space, the count value which I used to get was equal to 3. Yes. Now if there was no space at the starting, the count value I used to get was 2. So if there is space, I used to get as 3. If there is no space at the starting, I used to get as 2. When you get 2, you used to say plus 1. But when you already have 3, should you say plus 1? No, you are not supposed to say plus 1. So it means the question or the condition is only relevant on the space at the starting. And how to fix that, if you ask me, it is very simple. Always check whether the first character of the string is it equal to a space or not. A very simple code. If it is equal to space, you directly print the value of count. If it is not equal to space, then you say count plus 1. How to do this? Very simple. You write one condition. What is the condition? How to get the first character? That is s dot char at 0. Check whether this is equal to a space. If in case this is equal to space, what should you do? Return the value of count. Else what will you do? Else, if the first character is not equal to space, you return, that is count plus 1. So this is the final logic. Before directly printing the value of count, you have to write one simple if-else statement and do this particular operation. So let me just resize this and keep it over here. Yeah. So this is the logic that you have to do before directly printing the value of count. Now how can I do it in a simpler way? Sir, I am writing this much line of code, 3 to 4 lines of code. One simple operation it is. I hope you might have heard about binary and unary operators. Similar to that, we have something called as a ternary operator. And this is how a ternary operator looks. So this is where the condition comes, that is condition. This is where if it is true, this will get executed. If it is false, this will get executed. So the same thing, I will write it over here. All that I will do is, I will say s dot caret at 0. So this is what I have written, the condition. If it is equal to space, I have to write it in ternary. I will put one question mark. If the condition is true, execute this part of the code. If the condition is false, execute this part. As simple as that. So when the condition is true, what should you say? Return count. If the condition is false, return count plus 1. So put one return statement over here. That's it. This is the final code which will help you to count the number of words which is present in any given string. So if that is clear to everyone, I would expect you to quickly put a thumbs up in the chat so that we can quickly go type out the code, execute, pass all our test cases. So now if we just get back over here, that one test case which is failing, so that is count plus 1, I will say s dot char at 0 is equal to space. I'm sorry, that is single quotes because it is a character. Put a ternary operator, that is question mark and colon. So now if the following condition is true, what does it mean? I should directly return count. So I'll say count. If it is false, return count plus 1. Now finally, if you click on run code, as we already discussed, our sample test cases were anyways passing, but the problem was always in the hidden test cases. If you carefully come and see, it is evaluating for multiple test case, and you can see our test case 5 has passed, which means that this code which you are seeing over here is the best way for you to count the number of words. Yes, you can also do it with the help of inbuilt methods, provided the interviewer allows you to type the inbuilt method. If not, you must always know how to write the code even without the help of inbuilt methods. So I would assume that everyone understood the problems that you can get with a simple question like this. A problem statement which was very simple. All it asked you was count the number of words present in a string. Now, when we started to break it down, as I said in the first thing in the class, writing the code, thinking the logic, arriving at the solutions are different things. First and foremost, think of the logic. Break down the code. How did we break down the code? Yes, first we counted the spaces. After that, we said +1, but it did not work. So, how did we come? We thought about another test case wherein there can be multiple spaces. So now how did we handle multiple spaces? I and I+1. But there was a problem. We were going out of bounds. How did you fix that? Very simple. Go till length -1. But still the problem was not fixed because there can be spaces at the starting. So now how do you consider the spaces at the starting? If there is a space at the start, you just say count. If not, you say count +1. As simple as that. So this is the approach in which we have solved this problem, and you can see that it was a step-by-step approach, and every time there was only one small change in the code. There was not a huge change. All that mattered was how you start thinking about the logic. So I assume that this was a great session for each and every one of you. I know that there can be even many number of problems which can be solved, but provided time constraints and everything, a last moment revision that we had to do over here. Just moreover, like the day before your exam, you won't sit and study all the modules. Instead, you'll go and open the previous year question paper. The same thing is what is being done over here today. So I would assume the last 2 days of sessions on programming has been very helpful for you. And in the meantime, we would also expect that you get some of the same type of problems in your Infosys interview, and hope everyone sees success in that particular thing. And at the same time, even if you see failure in the interview, you need not worry about it, because there is a lot of other MNCs who are in the pipeline. TCS, Capgemini, Accenture, one after one, you will be getting multiple opportunities. One or the other company, you are going to crack it. Yes. So now in the meantime, what is that we can do, as we have explained regarding the Thai portal and everything and the issues that you have been facing, we would assure you all your issues will be resolved and you will be able to solve the problems in our portal. In the meantime, people who already have access to it, I would request you to please solve all the problems whichever is present in this particular assignment. So as you can see, that is MNC Interview Cracker and Infosys Interview Cracker. I would ask you to please solve both of these modules. Try to make sure you upskill yourself. Not just that, once you come to the test session, you can see that we have an MNC Interview Cracker. Along with that, we have Infosys Interview Cracker. I would ask every one of you to take multiple tests over here so that this will be a mock assessment for you. Also, you will have an idea about where your current stand is and what are the improvements which are required for you. Yes. So in the meantime, tomorrow you will be having a session on aptitude. So the timings for it, just give me a moment. I'll confirm with my team and let you know as early as possible. So yes, sir, tomorrow your aptitude session will be at 11 a.m. So just make sure that you people attend that particular aptitude session. There will be a lot of problems which will be solved, and the aptitude mentors have already recorded and made sure collect multiple number of MNC interview questions that are specifically asked in Infosys. So they will be extensively solving multiple questions. So for a last moment preparation, and I assume that many of you might not be prepared on aptitude, this is the best platform you can get. So make sure you get the best out of it, make the best utilization of it and have a great time. Please do not miss. The link and everything will be available to every one of you. So you need not worry. So at 11 a.m. tomorrow sharp, you can attend the aptitude session wherein there will be multiple problems, shortcut techniques, speed mathematics, many things will be explained to you so that you can ace this interview of Infosys. Yes. So finally, yes, Suma, I understand tomorrow is Sunday, but this is all being done for you people. So I would expect you people to have the thing of clearing Infosys. So that comes first. Once you clear Infosys and get into Infosys, you will be having Saturday and Sunday 2 days of weekend. So that would be a better option. You can spend one Sunday for this particular thing. So I assume there will be no issues with that. So in the same time, if there is any other queries or something, so the YouTube family who have been with me for the last 1.5 to 2 hours of this particular session, I can see many of you have consistently given the chat and comments over here. So one final thing is like, I would request each and every one of you to like this particular session so that the YouTube algorithm will recommend this for multiple people, and in future we are actually planning to do these workshops very frequently, which will benefit you for multiple interviews. And if you wish to attend such or see such workshops being conducted very frequently, we would expect you to show some love and support to us so that we can prosper from here and many of the audience get to know about us. And the larger the audience, the more frequently we can involve with you people and make sure there are a lot of sessions like this. Yes, so that final thing is like, just give one small like and show your hearts to us so that we will continue doing this for you. So I really assume that everyone enjoyed a lot on this particular session. So if you have any other queries, you can put a quick chat over here, quick reply to us. So or else we can wind up this particular session and maybe we'll meet very soon. So I can see, thank you. So a lot of people, yes, thanks for your support by the way. So yes, Srinivas is saying it was well spent, the time is well spent because we need to place in an MNC company. Yes, Srinivas, each and every one of you attending over here, you will soon be placed into an MNC, you need not worry about it. And thank you a lot for every one of you for attending this particular session. So if that is the case, have a great weekend, all the best for your interview. Make sure you people see success as early as possible. So thank you from Team Tap Academy. So tomorrow, please do not miss out the aptitude session. So we'll see you soon. Thank you. So George Gaming, yes, we will make sure that you will be getting access to the coding platform. You need not worry. So everyone, whoever is facing the problem, it is a promise from our side, you will be getting access to the portal. You need not worry about it. We will make sure as soon as the stream is ending over here, we'll just quickly make sure that everyone is, the issues are resolved and you will be getting an access to it. Thank you guys. Thank you so much once again. So make sure in any of the future session, always pay your valuable insights over here so that you can attend the session and get the best out of it. Thank you once again.